Of course. I think you can't argue that even if you finish first in league phase and have that record coming into it, you're coming up against a really good team. And I think Thierry touched on it there. They don't create much. And we saw Bayern struggling to create against them yesterday. And that would be my main worry, that if PSG play it more conservative, obviously I'm not sure if they will. I think they'll go after it and press higher and go back to their usual. But it's one game of football. Anything can happen in a final. Will they match their midfield? I think it's huge. It's a huge game for Declan Rice in the midfield. Obviously, seeing Odegaard back fit was a big boost for them, but huge game. Yeah, I'm nervous. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Aaron, how are you feeling? You're
nervous.
smiling a lot for someone who's nervous.
I mean, if you can see my legs under the desk. No, I am incredibly nervous. It's been 22 years of pain, 20 years since we reached the Champions League Final for Arsenal. That 22 years of nervous pent-up energy is why it's been like this throughout the entire season. The Arsenal are having one of the greatest seasons they've ever had, but it feels like we've been pulling fingernails throughout the entire thing, because we can't really enjoy the process until we get to the result, because we've had so much good process in the years without the end result. So it's just a lot of nervous energy. I'm incredibly excited, and I feel very blessed to be an Arsenal supporter right now and to be in 2 finals, but incredibly nervous.
The three of you, including JD, shows the nervousness. I'm assuming you're nervous, but I was going to say how nervous everybody can be, and they show it in different ways. This one has his legs shaking underneath the desk. Jen?
I'm more calm because the women did it last year.
Yeah.
Maybe as an Arsenal fan, I'm supporting both teams, right?
Yeah.
I'm more chill in that sense.
JD, how are you feeling? Are you more chill, or are you like shaking over there underneath the desk? How are you feeling?
You anything ever but chill.
Yeah, I see, Jen's right. And I usually want to remain super chill, but like I actually am nervous. And let me explain to you why. Because nerves are a good thing. It means you care, right? And everything that you care about, you should be nervous about. I'm nervous every time I sit on set.
Write that down, Jen.
Another one. Well, another one. We're not doing that. But the only reason why we care is because this is not a season. This is 20 years in terms of a process. And I can remember where I was, exactly where I was sat, who I was watching it with in 2006 in Paris. And I remember it being a defining moment. Like the red card obviously changed the whole game, but from Sol Campbell's header to the end of that game was one of the most nervous spectacles of watching football ever. And you just knew the inevitable was going to happen. Of course, Barcelona were the best team definitively in the world at that moment, and they went on to do what they needed to do. You're being faced with a very similar challenge now. And I don't want to bring childhood trauma. I don't want to bring any of the online abuse that Arsenal fans get, or any even the narrative that goes into it, because when it's a cup final, it really is just one game. Who actually really comes down to is just Mikel Arteta. I've seen different renditions of him during his Arsenal tenure. I've seen the expansive side of him, where he's been very brave and played like Havertz and Odegaard behind the definitive number 9. And I've seen him be very brave and pushing out a lot of those experienced players that would have helped you in a final like this. And now trusting this young gun, revitalising this whole team, and now this new rendition of being very defensively solid. You have to almost combine all 3 of those aspects and say you're going to go and beat the best team in the world with arguably the best manager of a generation. That's a really daunting challenge. But I will remind everybody again, a cup final was a one-off game. And this is, I just defer to what Clarence Seedorf said. Clarence Seedorf said before any ball was kicked across both legs in terms of the second leg, he said Arsenal were the favourites and should be because of what they produced in the Champions League this year. So being undefeated in this campaign, they should have all the confidence in the world. I think definitively the world can see that this might be this expansive, dynamic forward line of a generation in terms of what PSG have been able to do. And so Paris Saint-Germain, no doubt about it, are the overriding favourites when you talk about the forward line. Do I have to list the names to you? From Doué to Barcola to of course, the MVP of MVPs, the Ballon d'Or winner, Ousmane Dembele, and I didn't even mention Kvara. So in terms of what they can do in the final third, I think I don't want to say night and day, but there is levels to this, and PSG are a level above right now. But the game isn't just decided in the final third, right? You can look at all of the stats you want in terms of the big chances created and everything else in between, because there's dynamics and there's layers to a game of football. And when it comes to the midfield, this was the one that I was most split on, but I was told I need to make a decision. So let me give you your 2 definitive ones. Vitinha is always the first name on that team sheet because of what he produces and the way that he can control a game of football. Declan Rice has arguably been one of the most dynamic and maybe one of the best midfielders in Europe over the last 18 to 24 months. And now it leaves the other space. everyone's screaming, well, you got to choose João Neves. Well, it depends on what formation I want, because I think Enrique adds a different dynamic to every Arsenal team and any team in Europe because of his creativity, because of his tactical discipline, and because he plays with that almost Brazilian swag of saying, I can play anywhere and impact a game in the final third. So whether you play, I don't know, 1 in terms of behind the striker and then 2 holding midfielders, or you play the 3 that's in there, it could go either way, but I've been told I need to make a decision, so I'm going to give João Neves the nod, only because he's a proven winner. That doesn't necessarily mean that Enrique won't have a better final than him. Now we get to the other aspects, right? So that's almost 2 for PSG now. The other aspects of it is, now we got to talk about the defending side of it. And I do think it's night and day. I think a lot of people have created a narrative around Arsenal this year that all of a sudden being a good defensive team means that you're boring or your transitions are poor, all the rest of it. Again, I defer to another person of a generation in Mourinho who said, if you really watch Arsenal with an immense amount of detail, you see what they do from the defensive side is almost expert. They're of a higher ilk. Their attention to detail, their intensity, which is my favorite word today on the set, and most importantly, their actual desire and hunger to want to defend really does separate them. There are a lot of really good defensive teams in Europe, but Arsenal are the best purely because they have the passion, they have the understanding, and they have the connection with their manager of the importance of defending. And that right there, that trifecta could really separate you in any final. Now we get to the other part, right? Now we're, 2-2 or 2-1?
2-1.
Well, we're about to be 2-2 because I do think it is night and day when we talk about the goalkeepers. David Raya, I don't think gets put into the conversation enough about being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He does have a mistake in him, but that mistake, that intensity, that ability, that bravery to play with the ball is also why you love him and why he's one of the best dynamic or sweeper keepers in modern football. I think he's grown in this conversation. If you think about where we were when he first came in and we were talking about, well, why is he dropping Aaron Ramsdale? Well, I think it's very clear as to what Mikel Arteta, especially that coaching staff, saw, and the difference in the way David Raya has grown in terms of what he brings to a team. And those positions are really important, but now you get down to the most decisive one, and arguably the one that I think was the most clear-cut, which is big game expectations, or experience,
right.
Excuse me.
My
reading,
This was close.
My reading can't see that far, so excuse me for my eyes. But the experience in terms of what it was, it does come down to they are the defending champions.
Yeah.
And you are going in against the team. But I'll pose the question, here's one more for you, Jen. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So shout out to Ric Flair each and every time. But PSG are. PSG are the big game experience winners because of the sheer fact that they are going into this with all of the confidence in the world. And I want everybody to recognize, when we was going through that graphic of how we got here, recognize that PSG didn't finish in the top 8 and they started warming. Now think about their route to the final. Think about the Chelsea, the Liverpool and the Bayern. That team, that locker room, that change room, those players, their mentality has grown as the season has expanded. And I believe that their confidence is going to be at a sky high when we hit the 30th of May.
This is how PSG was last year, right? I don't think anyone really had them as a true contender to win all of Champions League, and then they really hit a run at the end of the season. So now that we have gotten everything from you, JD, let's compare it to SOFASCORE.
Oh yeah, let's do this. So we do numbers don't lie as well, because we say men lie, women lie, and numbers never do. So let's see what they say.
Write that down too. Write that down too.
There you go.
The exact same.
Wow.
We're in sync.
JD, well done.
Thank you.
Well
That was a
done,
lot, actually. I was locked in that whole time.
Appreciate you. Like I said, me and SOFASCORE, we have a relationship. Every Monday, you know where to find us. So I do think it was a fair and honest, and hopefully Chris, as the producer of the show, you know I was being fair. I was being honest.
Fair and balanced.
Very fair. Are there any arguments you guys could have made against potentially what JD said in any of those positions?
I think he got it spot on.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. No, he got it. He nailed it.
That's it. No one's going against you today, JD. You are spitting facts.
I'm gonna run.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.